I've had to fire close friends, and we're still friends. Life goes on. Failure seems to not be an option, urgency. Main problem when starting a business is most people are just too fucking slow. I founded an 8-figure company without me or anyone from the team making a single cold call ever. Like, I never literally pick up the phone to try to sell shit. If you just have the slightest feeling that you're being unethical while being a moral person, you will self-sabotage yourself to hell. Responsibility is best carried by a single person who makes all final decisions. They may listen, they may consult, but the final decision should be made by one person. Most people's main drivers are not money and equity, but appreciation, freedom, growth, fun. So the first one is the love strategy in business. It's a game of self-strategy, and it's meant to keep you internally motivated, driven, take care of your perfect mental health in game of self when starting business. And by love, we don't mean just romantic love, we mean love as a concept of giving and being outgoing, open to the world. Let's see where founding a business can go wrong and usually does go wrong. First one is wrong team. Typically, when you hire for skills, not character, and in the end, you have a bunch of sociopathic assholes, then, of course, it will be a disaster, because even if they can do amazing stuff, they may not want to do it, they may not want to cooperate, or they may directly steal your business or do other ugly shit. So, wrong team, definitely a no-go. Then you can have wrong company structure in terms of equity and responsibility distribution. This leads to conflicts with co-founders and often is the reason why businesses fail. Then you can have a bad combination of industry, niche in the industry, and business model. So industries are not made equal. Some industries are much better than others, but even within one industry, the niches, the business models can be very different in terms of ease of growth. Some may feel like pushing a boulder uphill, others may feel like pushing a boulder downhill. And this is the metaphor you want for the business. If it's too hard, maybe it's not the right thing. So the combination of industry, niche, and business model is something that you must choose very carefully if it's a longer term commitment. For a short time, you can try anything to learn, but for a longer time, you should try to choose wise. Then you may end up with a bad company culture that doesn't value freedom, fairness, growth, and fun. This usually happens with bigger companies, with corporations, which have too many rules, too many boxes. As the famous CEO of Netflix said about his first company before Netflix, he said, "I decided to create a process for everything so that everything is idiot-proof. And in the end, there were only idiots who wanted to work in this company." So yeah, you don't want this to happen, or you lose your valuable people, the people who have good intuition and who actually know what they do and can react well to unexpected circumstances. But the most common reason that the business fails is never actually launching it. So you have a plan, you have an idea, you have a project, you have some motivation, but you never actually launch. And this is how it works with many people. I think that at least half of potential businesses are never actually launched. And some of those may have been great, but we'll never know. How do we fight all of these dangers at once? Here, incoming is a crazy flow-based solution, very unorthodox. The very first step that hopefully you can afford is hiring for your very first employee a person you genuinely care for. Really good friend of yours, even if they have just some of the skills you need. It has to be someone you have high emotional trust in, someone you can be completely yourself around. There should be no masks from you or them. You can do this before you start executing on your actual business idea, even if you have no idea from where to start and what the person will do. In fact, especially if you have no idea from where to start. Even better, you can hire your girlfriend or boyfriend. Closer the person, the better, with the possible exception of family. You just mixed work and love. Oh God. Well, the world didn't explode. In reality, 3 things happen in parallel. First, you introduce love and empathy to your future company from day one. There won't be the danger of having a sociopathic company culture. 2, you create a potential future challenge in your relationship or friendship. Of course, working together is a challenge, but true relationships or friendships survive those and only emerge stronger after now. Bad ones, they fall apart, but you wouldn't want bad relationships in your life that would crack given the first challenge anyway. So have free of charge, precious trial by fire for your friendship or relationship. It's a win-win. Free test. And you create the best game of self framework for the future down to the details. Here is why your launch will only benefit. First, double the motivation. Well, hiring someone close to you is a step that you can reverse by firing them. But you really don't want to fire your best friend, not to say your girlfriend. Basically, you're giving yourself very strong motivation to succeed, helping a friend, and you give yourself also strong negative motivation. You don't want to let the friend down. At the same time, if you actually have to fire them, well, it's very uncomfortable, but it's not such a big letdown because life goes on and you do what you have to do. So the negative motivation comes at a quite a reduced cost. So it's very uncomfortable. So to give you the motivation, but if it eventually happens, the consequences are much bigger in your head than in reality. I've had to fire close friends, and we're still friends. Life goes on. Failure seems to not be an option, and in reality, it's a non-fatal option. Very good motivational setting. Also, long-term urgency. Main problem when starting a business is most people are just too fucking slow. They're either afraid of failure or their world environment, exhausting day job is taking so much of their time, focus, and energy that there's nothing left for the business. Time, focus, and energy are a matter of priorities, though. So having your girlfriend waiting for the next salary will make sure you prioritize the new project rather than losing your motivation to inertia. This is some very welcome urgency. And there's also short-term urgency. So the long-term urgency is like in a month or two, they need salary. But short-term urgency is they need tasks and they want. So even if you're like stuck in preparation and barriers and fears and avoidance, your girlfriend comes to you and say, what do I do now? I work for you now. What do I do? So you have to start doing something like it's you have to do something that would actually seem actionable, not just doing research or something. So short-term urgency is also great. Then you have some things related to industry, business model, and future company culture. Let's say when you're starting a business, you're hype. Tough tasks don't seem that tough. You are very hype. You have to cold call 1,000 potential clients. No problem. You're super motivated. You sit on the phone, do it in a week. Call. However, if you have to cold call 1,000 potential clients to start your business, it's a signal that you're not in the right business. It shouldn't be like that uncomfortable at the start, or it's very possible that it will be that uncomfortable all the way. It's a signal that it will be tough forever. I founded an 8-figure company without me or anyone from the team making a single cold call ever. Like I never literally pick up the phone to try to sell shit because the industry choice was great. So this was a good signal. And if you're having the bad signal, you should think about your industry choice. Could you be more successful if we were cold calling people? Possibly. I don't give a shit because money is not everything. It's also important to have fun and remember basic ethics like the golden rule. I don't want to be cold called, so I don't want to be cold calling other people. And if you have the feeling that you're being unethical, even if it's how the industry works because it's cutthroat, even if all of your competitors do the same thing, if you just have the slightest feeling that you're being unethical while being a moral person, you will self-sabotage yourself to hell, to the total failure. You will not want to do the thing that seems unethical. It's definitely worth for most people. So the industry choice of an industry which forces you to be unethical can bake in your fail from the start. So you should avoid cutthroat industries. So what does all of this have to do with your friend or girlfriend or your close person that you hired? We tend to be more empathic to our friends than to ourselves. Self-love is a big problem in the current age. We tend to push ourselves too hard. If your friend has to do the 1,000 cold calls, you probably feel bad because it seems like you're getting them a lot of ugly, tough work. But if you do the 1,000 cold calls, then they will feel bad for you because you're close. There's a lot of empathy. So this is why it's very important to be close, because This is a correction of the lack of self-love that we often have. And if we were not close, probably people wouldn't express those feelings strong enough. Okay, you want to do the cold calls, do them. But then if we're close friends, you'll be like, man, that's not the right way to go. And this empathy and work-related compassion is precious because it signals you that for the whole future of your potential company, people will matter more than money, more than raw performance numbers. This is how the companies where people love to work and stay loyal to are built. This is how elite Navy SEAL teams are built, according to Simon Sinek. This is how great sports teams are built. Every time humanity and compassion triumphs over distance and indifference, you will see a massive increase in happiness, but also in performance. Your industry and business model have a lot to do with having a great company culture. Industries are far from being equal on the spectrum between easy and cutthroat, and the diversity of business models just adds to this imbalance. If you truly want a good time at work for your friend or girlfriend, boyfriend, and all of your future employees will be motivated to steer towards a better industry, better business model, so they are not so precious, so that they are not so pressured, so that they are happier. Companies change these all the times. They can change the industry, the business model. It's not like they're fixed. Nokia started out as a paper mill founded by a mining engineer in 1865, and then grew up to be a huge tech company. It's not the industry and business model that define a company, it's the people and the culture. And starting with empathy and compassion with your friend will help set those values straight from the start. And you may think that, oh, I'm just philosophizing about this. No, I have done this multiple times, multiple new projects that I have starting with a close person, even though in terms of skills, they may not always have been the right fit. And often they were partial or complete failures due to the friend being well-meaning and close, but not motivated enough, not skilled enough. But no good friendships were impacted in any negative way. Actually, there was no damage to friendships ever, and the projects took off, even if after half a year or 1 year, this friend let go and never touched the project again. These projects took off because they started with the right way, the right flows, the right vibes. And I'm sure you have questions like, how about alternatives? Why hire your friend instead of inviting them as co-founder? In our post and video about business, we already said that I don't really like business partnerships and they're kind of overrated and have many paths to failure. But there is something more. Responsibility is best carried by a single person who makes all final decisions. They may listen, they may consult, but the final decision should be made by one person. Shared responsibility in general in business is a recipe for disaster. In almost all business partnerships, there is a junior and a senior partner. And even if the equity is split 50-50 and the roles are unwritten who is junior and senior, they are emotionally understood by both sides. The senior one is defined by taking more responsibility and having the final calls in case of disagreement. The junior one offers work moral support to the senior one, so they don't feel alone in this. And basically, a lot of things about equity partnerships are about emotional support. But it shouldn't really be the case. Like, business is business and emotions are emotions. It's good to have intuition flows, but emotions can be good or bad, and mixing emotions and emotional support with equity distribution is surely a recipe for a potential disaster. A good employee also offers work and moral support. So the difference between the first employee and a junior partner with equity is mostly just about equity and commitment. But in reality, commitment doesn't come with equity. People are so irrational that commitment actually comes much more about the psychological relationship than something that stems from the actual company structure and equity distribution. The world is full of both business partners who abandon ship early and early employees loyal for decades, even if having zero or tiny share of the business. Most people's main drivers are not money and equity, but appreciation, freedom, growth, fun. It's easier and wiser to give your first employee those than half the company, because you should give those flows anyway. And the equity you can always give if you decide, but once you give it, you cannot take it back. So if you give half the company away, make an equity partnership, it's a marriage for life with no divorce option. So there are no real alternatives to this. You can either pull it off by yourself or you don't. And however you feel about it, it's true. If you believe in yourself, you can make it. If you don't, probably not. Success is largely a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just have to believe. But what do you do if you don't truly believe? If you have fears, if you have insecurities, if you're afraid of failure like most people? What if you already failed a bunch of times and don't know if success is even possible? You don't know how success feels. You can acknowledge the fear, but don't give in to it. Be a hunter. And in this case, the love strategy is precious because it allows you to change the narrative. When I started my businesses, I was extremely motivated, but also extremely unprepared, unskilled. I was a total newbie in everything I started, and I didn't know what to do, which of course made me feel a lot of insecurities. But I was changing the narratives with the people that I care about, that I started the businesses with, helping a friend, helping your favorite guy or girl to have a decent job long term. Isn't that worth fighting for? Changing the narratives can get you over these insecurities and stop you from self-sabotaging yourself. A specific example, me trying to help a very dear friend escape a shitty call center job resulted in me prioritizing the founding of a content website business in the far back 2008. I had considered this idea for 3 months, have never done much about it. But in order to be able to offer this girl a job, I finally launched it. She accepted the job, didn't stick around for long as her studying got more intensive. She quit after a few months. However, the business endured. It became as a content business, then there was an SEO agency thing, then it was a link selling thing, and then it was a data thing, and then it was a domain selling thing. And 16 years later, it's worth about $70 million. All started because I wanted to save that girl from the call center. This is how the love strategy works for you. These are the actual life stories. It makes you start with the right foundation, which is a huge part of any future success. Love will help you scale a business.